Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for coming tonight. This is a special meeting of the Fitchburg City Council. The meeting has been called to provide for public comment concerning the proposed closing of the 11 to 7 shift at Burbank Hospital. We welcome everybody here, and I would ask the city clerk to call the roll.
President Mylar.
Here.
Councilor Burke is absent, I believe. Councilor DiMartino is absent. Councilor Donnelly?
Here.
Councilor Fontaine?
Here.
Councilor Hay?
Here.
Councilor Keck is absent. Councilor Maynard?
Here.
Councilor Moisen?
Here.
Councilor Romano?
Here.
Councilor Straight?
Here. The format tonight is going to be as simple as we can make it so that it's convenient for everyone who wants to speak tonight. I do have a list of some people who do want to speak, and I will call on them as we go along, but everybody here is entitled to speak, and we want you to do that if that's what you desire. There are two microphones in the middle. This is being... The mics are on. Unfortunately, they're not part of this system. I'm trying to get the microphone, so I didn't want to keep this meeting waiting any longer. We'll try to speak as loud as we can. The microphones are for the television set. So if you could go to a microphone and speak, we would appreciate it so this can be televised and heard at home. That's why the microphones are here. Hopefully we'll have a microphone so you can hear us shortly. I would like anybody who would like to start speaking, please do so. I know there are people from the Northern Healthcare Coalition who want to speak. I know there are people, so if anybody would like to speak, please go right ahead. Jean LeMay, would you like to speak? We'll start with you. Please. We'd like to limit this to 2 minutes if we can, if that's okay.
Would you like to do 2 sec? This isn't working either.
Yeah, they're all working, Jean, but it's not part of the system.
Okay. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jean LeMay. I'm the Executive Director of the Fitchburg Senior Center, and I've held that position for 13 years. On behalf of the elderly population, and we have 8,500 seniors in the city of Fitchburg, I wish to register my opposition to the closing of the emergency room between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. In the downtown area alone, surrounding the senior center, we have the following elderly high-rises: Wallace Towers, Day Street, Townview Towers, and Sundial, which totals over 1,000 elderly residents. It does not make any sense to me that these individuals who reside several minutes away must travel several miles for emergency medical care, and oftentimes, if not admitted to the hospital, then would need to return back to Fitchburg. Since many elderly individuals do not even drive at night, there is also the consideration of taxicab costs, which is certainly significantly higher traveling out of town. Through no fault of their own, seniors oftentimes require greater medical services and assistance. Let us, as a community of caring people and professionals, heed their needs and be more responsive rather than acting hastily and what actually could be considered irresponsibly. I'd also like to add one final comment. 7 years ago, when I found my husband at 3 a.m. collapsed on the floor at home, and we called an ambulance immediately and had to rush to the Burbank emergency room, it was pretty comforting to know that we were there in just a matter of minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Sean,
Mr.
go right
President, members of the City Council, for the record, my name is Sean Sweeney. I live at 21 Harrison Avenue in Fitchburg. I'm also the news director at WEIM Radio, also here in Fitchburg. For the past month and a half, I have been an impartial member of the media. Tonight, I am changing sides, and I'm going to become a very ticked-off person. As you know, I have had a meeting with Health Alliance on the air on March the 10th. We had a 2-hour forum. and which I actually like to thank the members of Health Alliance for helping us out with that. But as a resident, we cannot stand for having Health Alliance take away our emergency care center's overnight shift. We need that, like Ms. LeMay said about the elderly. Also, we have 3 schools in that area. We have Crocker Elementary School. We also have McKay Campus School. Also, in September, we will also have the new Fitchburg High School. Also, we have the town of Ashby. The residents of these areas and the students of these areas should be, their needs should be met. I know, of course, that doesn't mean anything for the schools at night, but still, the town of Ashby needs the sense of security that there is a hospital there. They don't want to drive the extra 20 minutes it is from Burbank to Leominster Hospital. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. Diane Kimmel, would you like to? Can we take care of that?
I've never done this before. Where would you like me to go?
You don't have to speak too close to that.
Okay.
It's for television anyway.
Okay.
Kimmel.
On behalf of NAMI, the National Alliance for the Mentally Ill of North Central Massachusetts, I would like to identify concerns of our members, families, and friends within the surrounding communities regarding health care for individuals diagnosed with a major mental illness. According to the National Alliance for the Mentally Ill, 1 out of every 5 families will be affected by a major mental illness. When an individual with a mental illness comes to the point of acceptance that they need mental health services and agree to go to the hospital, the window of opportunity is critical. Individuals and their families need to have quick, efficient care, just as you would expect quick, efficient care for individuals who have a heart attack, hemorrhaging, any other physical illness. Time is of the essence. Under the current plan, for an individual to get to the emergency room, find that there are locked doors there and a telephone with instructions to dial 911 leaves me wondering how our professionals are treating mental illness in the area. When an individual is psychotic or suffering from a severe chemical imbalance, the likelihood of that person to think clearly enough to make calls, follow directions, and assume that there is health care further down the road is unrealistic and unempathetic. If I came to the emergency room door with a heart attack or hemorrhaging, would you expect me to dial 911, wait for instructions, and somehow get myself to Leominster Hospital, receive enough patch-up care to then get me back from Leominster Hospital back to the psychiatric unit that's offered at the Burbank campus? It just is confusing. And I feel as though I want to represent our members who are, it's a very strong affiliate that you have here in North Central Massachusetts. We are the only affiliate in the entire United States that has weekly support groups for family members who have an individual with a major diagnosis. And on behalf of these members, I really do want to voice concern of the quality of care and how are we really looking at this problem with the 11 to 7 shift and individuals who have a major mental illness. Thank you.
Joan David, is Joan here? Oh, there she is.
Good evening. Mints in my mouth and everything. I'm Joan David. I'm legislative aide to Representative Emil Gogin. As you all know, Representative Gogin has been a strong advocate of Burbank Hospital, and for the past 5 years he's has not supported any reduction in services at the Health Alliance Burbank campus. Both Representative Gogan and Noodler apologize for not being here this evening. They're in Boston debating the amendments to the fiscal year 2001 House budget recommendations. They thank you for arranging this public meeting this evening and giving us the opportunity to speak, okay? I have a brief letter that I'd like to read. It is being sent to, let me get this right now. It is being sent to Dr. Howard Koh, Commissioner of the Department of Public Health, to Paul Dreyer, Dr. Paul Dreyer, Division of Healthcare Quality, the Department of Public Health, Jerry Page, Program Analysis, Determination of Need with the Department of Public Health, and Representative Harriet Chandler, House Chair for the Committee on Healthcare. Dear Commissioner, please find attached a petition sponsored by Representative Emil Gogan and co-sponsored by Senator Robert Antonioni, Representative Brian Noodler, Fitchburg Mayor Mary Whitney, Fitchburg Fire Chief Kevin Roy, the Northern Healthcare Coalition, and City Councilor Annie DiMartino. This petition asks that the Department of Public Health reverse the decision by Health Alliance to close the 11 to 7 shift at the Burbank Satellite Emergency Center. As you know, this action would automatically downgrade the Satellite Emergency Center to an urgent care center. Health Alliance has recently requested and received DPH approval to extend the life of the Satellite Center until October 2001. However, this decision by Health Alliance ignores this waiver approved by Department of Public Health. As evidence of the public outcry against this latest decision by Health Alliance to reduce our access to emergency health care, over 3,000 people from the Northern Tier and the Montezut region have signed this petition, and they continue to be sent into Representative Gogan's office. They are people who will be directly affected by this action, people who live in Fitchburg, Townsend, Ashburnham, and Ashby. People who feel that their health and safety will be compromised by the downsizing of the ER at the Burbank campus of Health Alliance. With a commitment from Health Alliance that the 24-hour emergency center will remain open, nurses would apply to work the night shift, thereby resolving one of the issues cited by Health Alliance as a factor in closing the shift. Burbank is located in the center of a large, densely populated urban area, and the towns to the north are rural in nature. The population of this northern tier in the Health Alliance system is more than 100,000. More than 1,000 elders live in housing complexes which are located only minutes away from Burbank. A short distance away is the new Fitchburg High School, which will open this fall. The staff and student enrollment is predicted at 1,500. Fitchburg High School will have a new field house that will hold approximately 2,000 spectators and an auditorium that will seat 700. 2 minutes from Burbank is Fitchburg State College with approximately 6,000 people on campus at any school day. Fitchburg State College is expanding their athletic department and anticipates June to be the opening of their new athletic and recreation center. This facility will have an NCAA basketball court with seating for 1,000 spectators, a 25-yard swimming pool, a suspended jogging track, a dance studio, a racquetball court, etc. There's many other things going into this building. Close to Burbank is the Wallace Civic Center, which provides several year-round skating rinks, as well as concerts and other public events which draw more than 350,000 people yearly. Close by are Seymour Park and Coolidge Park. Both hold athletic and recreational events attended by thousands of people throughout the year. In the cases of accidents and illness, all of these groups have relied upon Burbank for their emergency health care needs. In the interest of public safety, the 24-hour emergency center at Burbank is needed. The sponsors of this petition will call upon the State Department of Health and the Legislative Health Care Committee to protect the lives and safety of people in the Northern Tier by taking whatever action is necessary to keep the Burbank Satellite Emergency Center open. Yours truly, Representative Emil Gogan. Any questions? Also, I'd like to add to that I didn't put anything here about access once Mass Highway gets involved. I know down the road we already have the plans in for the expansion of Route 12, which will make access even more difficult. We have the plans in for the intersection of John Fitch and Summer Street. We have a large population out here that needs to be serviced. I noticed in the back of the book that we received this Sunday in the paper, directions from I-190 do not get us to Health Alliance in Leominster. Thank you.
Phyllis, would you like to speak?
Yes, I would. My name is Phyllis Hurdle, and I hope everybody can hear me. And I know how to use a mic too, but I do have a strong voice. And I would like you to know that there are a lot of things.
Turn around, Phyllis, and face the crowd, okay?
Oh, okay. Yep.
There you go.
This doesn't work. I came here to Fitchburg many years ago, and I've lived here the biggest part of my life. And I have always loved it, and I've fought for good schools. I fought for many, many things. And you perhaps have heard that before if you read the letters, but I also want you to know everything started all of a sudden. The people in Leominster had a nice hospital. Fitchburg did. They got along. They worked great. All of a sudden, there were people who took over and did not know how to run a business in the right way. And also, they tell an awful lot of lies and I will give you a few of them. One is about the satellite. If that satellite wasn't there, I maybe would never made it to Worcester to get there because I got hit by a car on Mechanic Street, and I got hit pretty badly. And it's taken me a long time. It's playing a toll on me as I'm getting older. And also, they lied about that. Then, too, there is also some counselor had asked, I heard, asked the question about the ones, where were the doctors? Where were the doctors? Do you think the doctors were going to open their mouths and lose their jobs? And people, when elderly people go in and don't understand how the world is today, and they take their doctors and believe that that's where they have to go. Well, you don't have to go because it's a federal law in the United States that you can go wherever you want to go. And that's a lot of baloney, they tell. And there is also, I have to stop and think and swallow, it's hot in here. And besides that, Burbank is a real good hospital, and I'm worried stiff about the traffic. How many people know, starting from downtown and coming up Mechanic Street, and going, and I know that she talked some about it, where are you? And that it's very, very dangerous. They take, and as you have heard, that they have a new school. There can be a child that runs out, that slips out sometime. And has anybody made things to put up great big signs and tell them now to slow down? And I know that if you go down to the Boston, it's a hard job to get them to put up signs and things to stop. Because I've been through that before, when where all the street comes together, Ringe Road and all of them. I'm glad I didn't see it, and it makes me almost cry when I think about it, because I live right off of Ashby State Road. And the girl came out, and she lost her head right off there. So it's a very bad, dangerous place, and I don't see where our council is pushing for some of that. There have been permissions given, and you've got a bunch of young kids that are going to be there. There are people who, and I think she talked about some of that, where there are, these trucks come over for shortcuts. They go through Ashby, they go through other places. They are gungamungus. That's how far they are.
We've got to talk about the hospital tonight.
Okay, well,
Can you
that's
talk about
part
the
of it.
emergency
Sure.
room?
Yeah, and the emergency room is always been there. They've been great. And, well, I guess I left that book there that he sent out to all us people, and I think it would be better for all the money it must have cost for all the thousands of people to pay enough nurses a salary to be able to take care of us people when we need Burbank. And
Thank you so much, Phyllis. We appreciate that. Is there anyone else who would like to speak at this particular point?
Good evening. My name is James Gilbert. I'm a police officer with the city of Fitchburg. I'm limited on time, so I'd just like to make a few statements. First of all, I'd like to preface, I'm not here on behalf of the whole department. I'm here on behalf of myself as an officer out in the street who requests ambulances on a regular basis. And I figured I'd try to inform you people what's happening on almost a nightly basis. And an example I could give is just last evening, we needed 2 ambulances. One was on a minor, another one was on a more serious medical call. And the ambulances were being dispatched out of Leominster. My problem is not with the ambulance service, it's not with the hospitals. The problem is taking away Burbank Hospital for a place for these ambulances to bring the Fitchburg residents to. We were almost 15 minutes last evening. I was on Cross Street. The other call was out in West Fitchburg. We didn't get the ambulances as quickly as we used to, and that's because we were told that they were being dispatched out of Leominster Hospital. They were there on other calls. We could understand that, but we're talking about time here. We're talking about precious minutes. If it's something with heart, breathing, child, we're talking about life-saving minutes. And I hate to see this thing shut down. I have friends over the years, close friends up at Burbank Hospital. And a lot of them are gone. They've moved on. And it's disheartening to see that happen. I come in here, was surprised to see some of my fellow officers I work with here, and I know they can share the same sentiments. Please don't shut this thing down. And more importantly, you have to make some kind of decision. I know medical care, like everything else, is politics and money, and I'm not here to debate those issues. But when it comes down to saving lives, please don't do this, because it could be myself, it could be these brother officers I'm working with. We need to get them to medical help. We don't want to bring them across town. And I hope it's not already made up, and this is a done deal. We need that satellite center to stay open, number one, and we need to get more ambulance cares. There are calls that can be put there, all right? When we have calls out by Ringe Road, Mechanic Street area, and they're being pumped down to Leominster, when you can throw a rock to Burbank Hospital in some locations, that's crazy. That's crazy. Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Gilbert. I just want to take 1 second here to say thank you to FATV for televising this tonight and also televising the previous meeting. and also to thank the Civic Center for giving us this room tonight so we'd have a little bit more space. Rosemary, would you like to speak?
I'm Rosemary Reynolds, and I'm a citizen of Fitchburg. I can remember the days when my parents and friends worked and loved Burbank Hospital. It was our hospital. I think many of us feel the same way, that it slipped away from us. We trusted other people, that they were telling us the truth. But something has, either they haven't been telling us the truth, or they've made very poor decisions on behalf of each and every citizen of Fitchburg. And if the answer is that they can't get, they can't get nurses to do the night shift, put it in the hands of the council and the mayor. We'll find people that will work the night shift. If economy isn't the bottom question, serving the citizens is the bottom issue here. We have something in our hand. I think we're all outraged that we sense it slipping away, and I hope our speaking up will help save it. Thank you.
Right in the back there.
Front row. Why not? How are you? Hi, my name is Jeffrey Howe. I'm a lifelong resident of Fitchburg. I went to public schools in Fitchburg, Fitchburg State, from the Anna Maria College. I'm also a police officer here in Fitchburg. I'm here on my own free will. But I want to go along with what my friend and my colleague, Officer Gilbert, was saying. About a year ago, I noticed a problem with the ambulance service, maybe a year and a half ago, but it being real slow, waiting 15, 20 minutes, 25 minutes for serious problems. I remember many times on the radio screaming, "Where's the ambulance? We need the ambulance. Where's the ambulance?" Coming from Leominster, that's where it is. I even wrote a report about it, wondering, what can be done. I sent a copy of it to the mayor, a copy of it to the fire department. I never heard anything. I don't know no one's ever telling me nothing. I'm here tonight because I want some answers. I don't want to hear all this talking. Let's find out what's going on, okay? I sent something to the mayor, I got no response. I sent something to the fire department, got no response. I'm here tonight, I'm not hearing anything. What's going to happen? I want to know what's going to happen tonight to save the hospital. None of this talking. What's going to happen? Am I mad? Yes, I'm mad. I live in that area, and if I get hurt or something happens to me and my family members, I'm not going to be happy. Let's find out what's going to happen tonight. I'm going to put the blame or the question on all of you sitting here tonight. Why don't we go down, lobby Boston, stand there with signs at the Capitol House if we need to. What's going to happen? What can we do tonight to save the hospital? No more talking. What's going to be done? That's it.
Well, that's a tough act to follow, isn't it?
Right.
Yes. Okay, shortly. I got to get more people in.
Okay, can I go?
Go right ahead.
Okay, I'm Mike Summers. I'm a resident of Ashby, right up the road, and I live in the northwest corner of town up there. And again, it's the same thing as, I'm the same thing. I'm support keeping this hospital open, especially in our town. We're an all-volunteer fire department. And think about the towns north of us. There's Mason, New Hampshire, New Ipswich, Greenville. Those are closer to this hospital than other hospitals, I would guess. And plus, the fact is, this area is growing. There's people moving in Fitchburg. There's people moving into Townsend, Ashby. There's new houses being built. And we need this emergency medical care there, because we're talking about lives here, both young, old, everything. And we need that hospital for this entire area, all these towns, Fitchburg and Ashby, Ashburnham, you name it. It's a very, very important thing. I think it's the number one thing to keep this thing open, and I'm sure we can work it out. And I just say I support it, keeping it open. Thank you.
Kathy Seacart.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Seacard, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Northern Healthcare Coalition. We would like to thank the City Council for hosting this meeting. We thank you, the public, for supporting the coalition, and a special thank you to our Burbank employees who have continued to do their job through such adverse times. They should be proud of themselves. They should be proud of themselves for keeping the doors of Burbank Hospital open. We would like to thank UMass Memorial Health Alliance for our feelings of anger, fear, confusion, deception, and abandonment in the situation they have created. They exemplify what we hope will never happen to emergency services in any other communities in Massachusetts. Our feelings are perhaps the only thing left they cannot take away. We all make choices in life. UMass Memorial Health Alliance has made the choice to close the night shift of the Burbank Emergency Room, which will result in the end of true emergency care on the Burbank campus. They have laid blame on the Balanced Budget Act, restrictions from the Department of Public Health, a nursing shortage, a physician recruitment shortage, and anything else they can invent to justify closing the Burbank emergency services. However, do not let them confuse you. It is UMass Memorial Health Alliance's choice not to provide emergency services. No one is telling them they cannot do this. We too have choices and cannot help but wonder why we should choose UMass Memorial Health Alliance as our health care provider, considering what they continue to take away from us. They tell us we are not justified in our concern for longer transport times because of the elimination of the Burbank emergency room. They tell us we are in no greater jeopardy of an unfavorable outcome in emergency situations. We wonder how many of UMass Memorial Health Alliance trustees and physicians would choose to have their heart attack or major trauma treated in the back of an ambulance rather than an emergency room. Ambulances, EMTs, and paramedics are valuable tools and not to be minimized, but they have restrictions emergency rooms do not have. Lives of heart attack victims are saved when clot-busting drugs are administered, and this is not done in our area in the back of an ambulance, contrary to what Health Alliance has been telling us. If we should not be concerned with the time factor, why does UMass Memorial continue to run this ad when seconds count? Don't the seconds count in Fitchburg? Is it just in Worcester that seconds count? The Northern Healthcare Coalition has volunteered hundreds of hours in meetings with UMass Memorial Health Alliance, trying to reach an agreement in the level of emergency services we know and believe we are entitled to. Unfortunately, they continue to keep eroding the level of services we have. After everything that has been taken away, inpatient services, surgical services, maternity services, pediatric services, we once again will ask UMass Memorial Health Alliance to leave us something we can support. UMass Memorial Health Alliance, leave us a full-service emergency room. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kathy. How about Dottie Brandt?
Thank you all for being here tonight. I want to tell you I'm co-chapter chairperson of SEIU 285 at Burbank campus. But I want to let you know what has happened since last fall at Burbank Hospital that you're not aware of. First of all, they closed our cafeteria. We are no longer to get hot meals on weekends, holidays, or in the evening. Therefore, like this weekend coming up, our cafeteria will be closed at 1:30 on Friday afternoon and open again at 6:30 Tuesday morning. Sorry, it's a holiday weekend. Not only that, last month they raised the prices of our food, and they decreased our employee discount from 33% to 24%. And then on top of that, they have told 2 employees last fall that their stockroom will be closing 3 to 11 shift. There was 2 jobs at Leominster. If they applied now, they would hold those jobs until they moved them over to Leominster. That happened April 1st of the year 2000. On top of that, we have laid off half of our mental health counselors. We no longer have mental health counselors at Burbank on 11 to 7 shift due to cost containment. But they opened a satellite gym, a satellite psych center at Leominster last fall. We didn't know about that, did we? And then on top of that, 11 to 7 housekeepers were eliminated due to the closing of the ER. And just so you know that when the ER does close, we will lose our lab, our x-ray, our respiratory therapists, and our ER secretaries on 11 and 7 shift. And to top all that off, the staff at Burbank Rehab and Mental Health will have to dial 911 to get emergency services, whether it be the police, the fire, or a paramedic. And then somebody has to remember to go down to the front lobby and unlock the door to let them in, because there'll be nobody to unlock the door. And on top of that, Health Alliance, UMass Memorial, has said this is for the safety of the employees. But who's worried about the safety of our patients and their families? No longer will anybody be able to answer the button in the front door if a visitor comes in the middle of the night to see a patient on rehab that has been dying or something. We just have no more services left. 5-6 years ago, there was 450 employees of SEIU at Burbank Hospital. Today, with the per diems, we are less than 150. Thank you.
Chief Roy, do you desire to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Kevin Roy. I'm the Chief, Fitchburg Fire. And I have to agree with Kathy. Satellite emergency center is not what we need here. We need a full-service emergency room. As Officer Howe stated, I received your letter, Jeff, by the way, and at the time we did act on it. At the time we had 2 non-transport paramedic trucks. We broke those trucks down onto transport trucks, so we'd have more ambulances. But in the last 4 years, call volume of ambulances in Fitchburg are up 28%. And almost every call is going to Leominster Hospital. So there are times when we're waiting for a rescue out of Lunenburg, out of Leominster Hospital, out of various areas. It's my understanding that there's 55,000 ED visits last year at Leominster Hospital. There was 38,000. There's 17,000 were at Burbank Hospital. That's 55,000 people. We need to look at figures and decide what we're really doing. We need to talk to DPH. We need to ask, why do we need a blood bank? Why do we need an emergency room? Why do we need these things at a full emergency room? Those patients no longer stop very long at our emergency rooms. We put them in helicopters. They go to Worcester. So we're jeopardizing fire trucks, ambulances, and police cruisers being in the city of Leominster more and more because we cannot provide full emergency room service here in Fitchburg. If Health Alliance is honest, they want to help us, we need to go talk to DPH, we need to get UMass, and we need to get Health Alliance. We need to run a full-service emergency room where ambulances can go. Short of that, we will see, and I was on the original board in '94 with Jeff Bean, and we brought a lawyer in here, and he said, if you can get a cancer center and you can get a full emergency room and you keep it up there, you've done well. Well, we haven't, because the original agreement called for a full-service, 24-hour-a-day urgent care center. It was the original agreement. That's not even going to happen anymore, and it'll only be a matter of time before the next shift is cut and then the next shift is cut. We need to get a full-service emergency room here Maybe it's time to reinvent the wheel. Maybe the people at DPH aren't in touch with what's going on in these communities. We're jeopardizing 55,000 people for the few that may need an operating room or may need blood or may need these other things, when in fact we're putting them in helicopters and taking them to Worcester or Boston. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm Bob Gerard. Oh,
Come on up here, Bob.
I just want to reiterate what the police and Fire Chief Roy had said. I've been a CPR instructor for 25 years, and the ambulance is kind of concerned to me because at one time, anywhere in Fitchburg, an ambulance would arrive on the scene within 3 minutes. Now, the way they're talking is, if they're in Leominster with the traffic and the problems that are occurring, the most crucial time is the first few minutes to get a victim into the ambulance and get them to the emergency room. So we need this facility in Fitchburg, and we need to save these people. It's very, very critical. And I didn't realize, I knew a lot of the ambulance service people were told that they have to go to Leominster, but we have this facility in Fitchburg and we need it for our people in this area. So I just wanted to emphasize that. That's crucial in the first few minutes of having an ambulance there, because regular CPR by an individual only is about 15% success rate, whereas with the defibrillator it goes up to 65%, and most people can't afford that. So you have to have your EMS and you have to have your technical people there, and then get them to the emergency room. Okay, thank you.
Dr. Fallon, would you like to join us?
Good evening. My reasons for speaking tonight as superintendent of schools are as follows. First, I'm disappointed and angry that the ER room at Burbank Hospital will be closed, or supposedly going to be closed, from 11 to 7 a.m. I'm disappointed not because it affects me so much and the students I represent, as it represents a deterioration of the once excellent Burbank Hospital facility and it appears that the citizens of Fitchburg concerns are going unheard by the Health Alliance administration. That's a feeling that you certainly can get in this room tonight. My second reason for being here is that presently there is a policy being followed by the Health Alliance, by ambulance drivers and doctors, that if any student in the Fitchburg Public School is injured during the school day, and they are automatically taken to the Leominster Hospital. And this policy is specifically for any student that is 15 years of age or younger. Well, the fact of the matter is we have 5,000 students that are 15 years or younger, and some of them attend Crocker Elementary School, which is only 2 minutes to Burbank Hospital, and 30 minutes to Leominster Hospital. There are also hundreds of students at McKay, B.F. Brown, and the present Fitchburg High School, and they are also only minutes away from Burbank Hospital. And I tell you that if a student has an accident that requires a stitch or two, why does he have to go to why couldn't he go to Burbank Hospital, where he can be in and out in 20 minutes, as opposed to go 2 or 3 hours at a crowded Leominster emergency room? And that's a major concern that I have. I do want you to know that yesterday Bernie Welch, principal of Fitchburg High School, and myself had a very nice discussion with Dr. Robbins. And we talked about this problem, and he did say that he was really trying to change this practice. He agreed that he was going to go down to the Department of Public Health, because he indicated that that is where this policy emanates, because you need to have, and I'm going to go with him. And the fact of the matter is that it has to be a full center, emergency center, hospital. If you don't have that, then that's one of the reasons, as a satellite, that you have to go directly to Leominster. He did state that he feels that this is not the best health service. We have to change that. But with a new high school of 1,400 students being completed in just a month, they're just going to be minutes away from Burbank Hospital. As a superintendent of schools, I'm concerned about that. There's a north corridor of Fitchburg where new construction is going up, where we have homes and families moving in. We really have to work together, and we have to change the perception that Fitchburg residents now feel, which is regardless of the facts, is that this is what you're going to receive from Health Alliance. We have to change that. I would hope that, and I do believe, that Health Alliance is listening. I do believe that the fact that we're here tonight indicates clearly that we're concerned, and I hope that they will listen, because I do understand that it's a matter of dollars and cents, but the fact of the matter is that we can fill that emergency room if given the opportunity. Thank you.
Bernie, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Dan. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bernie Welch, the principal of Fitchburg High School, and I'd like to just echo some of the sentiments that our superintendent, Dr. Phil Fallon, has presented to you this evening. In addition to the fact that we're going to have a brand new high school and it's going to open at the end of August, when we came forward to the community at large, and I love this community, born and brought up here, we told you folks that it was going to be a community center, and we really mean that. I've spoken to groups throughout the community. I've talked about the fact that when the youngsters who are students at the new high school leave, then it is going to be open to the community at large. People are going to be able to come up and see an absolutely magnificent facility located in a pristine area of this wonderful city of ours. You're going to be able to walk and talk and socialize and play tennis. Use the field house, which is going to be second to none in New England. All of which, of course, is going to bring an influx of population to that particular area. If you've been paying attention, and I know you have, to the demographics of this city, you will know that all building and new building is going to take place in that northern corridor. So I have a tremendous concern, having grown up in this college neighborhood and having been serviced, and my family been serviced by a wonderful, wonderful hospital, namely Burbank, that we're going to lose a great service if this is indeed lost to the citizens of Fitchburg. I also want to emphasize the fact of our friends and neighbors in Ashby, and Mason, New Hampshire, and Greenville, New Hampshire, New Ipswich. That whole northern corridor is going to explode as far as population is concerned. It's going to be an absolutely beautiful place to live, to raise children, and for goodness sakes, let's get on the ball and do something about saving this facility. Thank you.
Linda Allard. Linda here? Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Linda Allard. I'm chapter co-chair of Burbank SEIU. I work in medical records up on the Hill. I am also an Ashby resident, and I am very against the 11 to 7 shift closing at the ER. But there's some other things you might want to know that haven't gone out to the public yet. They're also talking about closing medical records up on the Hill. They started talking about it back in February. We don't have confirmation on it yet, but everyone is saying they're going to consolidate it to one facility. Well, we know that one facility isn't going to be Burbank. Chances are it's going to be Leominster, which means if you live in Ashby or if you live at the bottom of Burbank Hill, you need your records right away. You're not going to be able to just come up the hill and get them like you can now. You're going to have to make arrangements with Leominster Hospital You'll either have to mail in a request or go there personally to get your records. I'm very much against the closing of the ER. I don't know what else to say. Thank you.
Bob Mara. You certainly can. Just speak up loud, though. Gotta speak loud.
My name is Bob Mara. I'm from an organization called Health Care for All, which is a statewide community consumer advocacy organization focusing on health care. I live in Boston. I came from Boston tonight here. We've been working very closely for the last 2 years with the Northern Healthcare Coalition. And we've been working with about 10 different community coalitions around the state, trying to improve health access, help them work with their local hospitals to improve health access. And I just like to, and one of our lawyers is actually working as the counsel to the Northern Healthcare Coalition, Claire Megorian. I just want to make three comments. And the first is related to this be my only second time here in Fitchburg. The other time was passing through on the way to Vermont. It helps to see things up close. I've been listening for 2 years to Sally and Eleanor and Mary and Kathy to describe this situation in this 7 or 8 mile drive and this city of Fitchburg. But this is the first time I ever came here and noticed that there really was a city here. It's a city. It's not a small city. It's a city when you drive downtown. It's a beautiful city as well. And I thought about, for the first time, really the 8 mile drive when I drove through many intersections to get from Route 2 and whatever, the extension, to here. And I guess one of my comments is I think you really need to ask some people like the Attorney General and Howard Koh, the Commissioner of Public Health, and I would say Dr. Russo, who the Chief Operating Officer of UMass Medical Center, to come here physically, probably to ride with one of your policemen in the police car, just with the lights going, don't scare anybody, but just see what it's like at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the afternoon and see what they would think about taking that drive through town to Leominster Hospital. I think they would have a dramatically different point of view than they have, no matter who they listen to, no matter what they read. There's no way to get a feel for this unless you're here. So that's one suggestion. The other suggestion I would have is ask people, including people like me, for some money to support what you're trying to do here to keep this open. Because it does need more money than Health Alliance can provide, and quite frankly, more money than probably UMass can provide as well. It needs money from people like me who supported UMass as opposed to Tenet, a for-profit, taking over this place. We supported it. We applauded you because we don't think for-profit institution medicine is the way to go. We think that the government should come up with some money to support institutions like this, and we shouldn't depend on the private marketplace to come up with that money. Now, once you say that, you have to be willing to put your money on the line. And that means you should expect that those people who applauded you should be asked for some money to put into some state fund to provide hospitals that are in difficult financial troubles who need some support to help out. This is a statewide problem. We're working with communities, Norwood, Brockton, Arlington specifically, who are having just the problem you have. And there's growing numbers of institutions having this problem. Howard Koh himself, the Commissioner of Public Health, said they were lucky there weren't more deaths not this past year because of all the hospital closures there have been and the numbers of time ambulances had to be diverted because they couldn't get in the ER. That's his public comment about the public health hazard of not having as many ERs as they've had in the past. So again, I think you have a right claim on some of us for some more money. But quite frankly, I'm not that interested in taking more money out of my pocket to give to you unless there's more people like Sally Tracy and some of you controlling how that money is spent. I think one of the problems is how people decide how to spend their money. And one of the problems we have, our organization, a little bit with how they spend money in this Worcester County. When we read the UMass Medical Center deciding to have a cardiac transplant center in Worcester without asking anybody in Worcester, without asking anybody out here whether they'd rather have a cardiac transplant center in Worcester or whether they'd rather have an ER that's open, nobody asked that question. And the people who make those decisions in this situation are a small group of doctors and a small group of administrators. And they would contend that when they decide who is going to be their board members, the criteria for them is somebody who knows something about medicine, not somebody who knows anything about allocating resources in difficult times. Quite frankly, I worked as an administrator for 23 years at Boston City Hospital. We had to go in front of the city council all the time because it was a public hospital, and it was a very good exercise to be talking to elected officials representing you about resource allocation, matching up health care dollars against school dollars. That doesn't happen, but it should happen. These institutions are publicly funded much more than they want to acknowledge with your tax dollars. So we definitely think there needs to be more representation of people like yourselves on these boards so you all can collectively decide how you want to spend your money. You won't find it to be easy, but again, people run on city councils deal with this every day. Limited resources, how are we going to spend our money? Who better to make those decisions? And I say that in part, a little personal thing. My father was an elected official in our small town in New York for 30 years on the town board, making decisions like this. If he could have made a decision about the local hospital, I think he would have chosen at the very least to have some much enhanced advanced life support systems, some pre-hospital services, rather than having nothing to say. He probably died about 5 years before he should have died because he didn't get good pre-hospital care. In our town, there was a hospital 12 miles away and another one 6 miles past that. The hospital 12 miles away was closed. First, it was the inpatient side was closed. They left the ER open. Then they closed the ER, and they said there wouldn't be any problem going 6 or 7 more miles. I think there were plenty of problems 6 or 7 more miles, but again, quite frankly, I had in my head that image, 6 or 7 more miles. It is a problem, but I had an image of this country town, a straight road, no traffic. What's 6 or 7 more miles? And as long as you guys have been trying to beat it into us, that 6 or 7 more miles with a lot of traffic lights is a problem. It didn't hit till I came out here. So again, I'll stop there. A lot more people here to talk, but I think it would be worth bringing out some people. And you be creative. The Attorney General is running for governor probably, and so is the governor, unless he goes to Washington with George Bush. He's running for governor again, too. You have a lot of clout in this room and a lot of people looking on the TV. You could get both those people here. I think if you get them here, they'll think a lot differently, just like I'm thinking differently from having been here one night. I think it's worth it.
Yes.
My name is Allison Gallant. I've been a resident of Fitchburg all my life, born and raised here. I'm only 20 years old, but I am proud to say that I do live in Fitchburg. And when Sean had his forum about a month ago, I called in, and I'm going to make the same statement that I said then. Just because the police officers may not do as many calls in the middle of the night, the fire department may not do as many calls in the night, are they going to take away the 11 to 7 shift for the police department and for the fire department? It doesn't make sense to me. For me, going to bed at night, it's a sense of security knowing that I live right across the street from the hospital. If anything were to happen to me, there'd be an ambulance there, and I'd go right up to the hospital. About a year and a half ago, I had knee surgery, and I went into, I had an allergic reaction to the medication. And it was during a snowstorm, and I passed out in front of my mother, who is a nurse, and she called 911. And she heard over the scanner that the ambulance was coming from Leominster in the middle of a big snowstorm. She got scared because she didn't think they would be there in time. My father had to come pick me up and bring me to the hospital because she didn't think that they would have gotten there in time, and they would have had to bring me all the way to Leominster Hospital because I would have been considered an ALS patient. So, like I said, just because the cops may not do as many calls on the 11 to 7 shift, the fire department may not. Why does the hospital have to close? Why? Because they don't see as many patients, so they have to close. They're there when we need them. The police department's there when we need them, and the fire department's there. Why can't we have the hospital?
That was terrific. Thanks. Anybody else? Go right ahead. Yes. You're welcome.
Hi, my name is Kathy Boutwell, and I probably don't need this at all. About 95% of you people in this room are here for one reason, and that is to keep the emergency room on 11 to 7 open. The other 5% are here for either entertainment or to find out and report back to Leominster what has been said here. We are clear and confident that as we stand here as Leominster, as Fitchburg taxpayers, I assume I will get a fireman to come to my door when I need them, a policeman, and I also assume that when I press my lifeline button, because I've had open heart twice, that I will have an ambulance and I will have a choice of where I go. My records are at Burbank. I've worked there for 15 years. I choose the care because they're nurses that are qualified. Compared to what Dr. Aronson said of being not qualified, let me tell you that they have worked there their butts off. In the last 2 years, they have gone through being told, please don't say this in front of patients or you'll be reprimanded. The other part of it is that I find that when you have someone that knows your care, and I will speak clearly about whether it's Dr. Rugg or whether it's Dr. Jones or whatever, and they know you, the care is different. You are a person, not a number on a sheet or anything else. If you are fifth in line at Leominster being brought in, you're fifth in line. I will not choose to use my lifeline. I will have my husband drive me to Burbank. That will still stay the way. I refuse to call ALS, though I should, because I know what my choice is. And the only choice is Leominster. And as far as I'm concerned, the only hospital in this facility that should stay open is Burbank, only because the nurses here have been there for 30 years. They know your name. They know everything about you. And I find it hard to believe that people like Ann Racine would write a letter saying that this is something like a football game. Baby, the football game's over. We're here to fight, and you better learn that we're not going to take it anymore. Yeah, probably. Uh-oh.
My name's Bob Boutwell. I have a couple groups I'd like to talk to. One is this group up here. You are our elected officials. You should be leading this cause. You should be finding out the answers, what we need to do, telling us what we need to do. We come to these meetings all the time. This has been going on for a few years, and we hear the same thing. The people telling you, well, guess what? You either get the phone calls at your home, you hear it here, you hear it on the street. You're elected by us to work for us, to lead us. Secondly, for any physicians that are in this crowd, or that might see it on TV, or for those people that might talk to physicians, every one of you know in your heart that emergency care is important, that a person is a person, not a number, not a few dollars. They need your help. And it's time you step forward, whether it's Health Alliance against you or you against them. You serve us in the past, you serve us today, and you're going to serve us in the future. So it's time you stand with us.